We're a team, we work together. I'm excited. I'm like super excited. Like really excited. More excited than usual. And the reason why I'm excited and more excited than usual is because we're starting a brand new series about moods and attitudes. So if I want to talk about attitudes and moods, I got to live the part, right? I got to be excited. I mean, like really excited, not just plain excited. I got to be really excited. How many of you guys are familiar with emojis? Raise your hand if you're familiar with emojis. I'm surprised some of the older people are familiar with emojis. That's good. If you have a cell phone that looks like this, you're probably not familiar with emojis, and you probably don't use emojis when you communicate. Instead of using the updated emojis like, you know, what they have on the Apple products, the iPhones. I'm an Apple user, iPhone user. I'm not with the Android thing. No offense, I just love Apple and iPhone and so on and so forth. But if you have a phone like this, you got to communicate your emojis like this. Yeah. And I can't stand it when people have smartphones, up-to-date phones, and they use these as emojis. Like, you know, I get on my daughter all the time. She has an iPhone, but she uses this to show her smiley faces.
Me too.
And the thing about emojis is that we can sort of hide behind our emojis, right? We communicate a lot via cell phone, text messaging, and so on and so forth. And we can hide behind the cell phone, and we can make people believe that we feel a certain way, right? That we really don't feel. And so let's kind of go through some of these emojis. Those of you who are familiar with emojis, I want you guys to tell me what these emojis are communicating. Let's look at this one. What is this one communicating? You're happy, you're smiling, right? What about this one? You're angry, right? You got smoke coming out of your nose. You're angry. But then you can actually get even more angry. How about this one? Right? You're furious. I mean, you're steaming. People better look out if you send one of these. What about this one right here?
I'm laughing so hard I can cry.
I'm laughing extremely hard and to the point that I'm crying, right? And then how about this one? Sad. Right? Nobody wants to be sad. But sometimes you get these emojis. How about this one? I really don't know what this is. I'm not sure what this one is right here, but it's communicating something, right? All right, what about this one? Silly, crazy, kind of weird, right? How about this one? I love you. This is like, you know, you got the heart that says I love you, but this is when I see something that I love. Somebody sent me a picture of a baby or something like that, then I might respond back with this one. This one? Sleepy, right? But then this right here is mixed emotions. I don't know if you guys, you know, the younger people, they use, when they're communicating, they use multiple emojis, and I think it shows like mixed emotions. But the thing about these emojis is that you can hide behind them, right? Because the truth of the matter is, I rarely cry when I'm laughing. Like, I hardly ever laugh so hard that I cry, but I use that emoji all the time. I mean, you know, and sometimes we put these emojis up, and we want the other person that we're communicating with to believe that this is how we feel, but in fact, we really don't feel that way. So we can hide behind the emojis. We can hide behind our emotions. And that's what this series is all about. It's an emotional health series. It's a series about moods. It's a series about mastering your mood. And that's why I'm excited about this series, because it's an opportunity for me to pour into other people so that they can get better at this whole thing with our attitude. Because some people have really bad attitudes. Some people have really bad attitudes. I mean, the attitude is so bad, you don't even want to be around them. But the truth of the matter is, we too, at times, have bad attitudes. All of us, if we're not careful, can allow our moods to have us off balance. And so why a series on mood swings? The reason why I want to do a series on mood swings is because I believe that your mood is everything. Like your mood determines the course of your life. I mean, life is hard. Would you guys agree? Life is hard. And navigating through a hard life is not easy. And so, if we want to navigate through life well, if we want to do well in navigating through life, we have to learn how to master our moods. And I don't want you to write this down, but this is something that I believe. I believe that our moods create certain energy that causes opportunities to happen for us. I can't prove it from the Bible. This is my own personal opinion. You don't have to write it down. I believe that our moods send out certain energy that create opportunities for us. And I'll give you an example. There has been times when I woke up in a bad mood. And I allowed that bad mood to carry on with me throughout the day. And I'm telling you, my day was bad. But I woke up in a good mood. And I allowed that good mood to carry me out throughout the day. And things have been good for me. Now, some of you guys don't know this. I drive for Uber and Lyft. It's kind of weird, right? Uber driving pastor. That's kind of weird. But I am a bivocational pastor who wants to be full-time. And so I put in full-time hours, and so I need something to supplement my income, right? Because I got to feed my family. And right now the church is not in a situation to help me to where I can feed my family, so I have to do other things to supplement my income. I was doing some other things that was taking a lot of my time, and I wasn't really proud of those things that I was doing, and so God opened up the door for me to do this whole Uber Lyft thing, right? And so with this Uber Lyft thing, I actually like it. I love it. I mean, I like to drive anyway. I'm always driving from Rancho Cucamonga all the way down to LA, and so now I get paid to drive, right? So I like it. I mean, I'm getting paid to do what I like to do. But here's what I've discovered, man. When you get in that car and you're driving, you can be in the best of moods, and you get people in the car that can really, really suck the energy out of you. I mean, literally, like you can feel right when they get in the car, before they open up their mouth, you can feel that negative energy. And God is teaching me some things, right? This is another reason why a sermon series like this, when I preach, I live this stuff, right? And so I'm preaching. This is why my messages are so real, because they're so real to me. As God teaches me things, I teach it to you. And so a lot of times I'm just a couple of steps ahead of you. Like yesterday I learned it, I teach it today kind of stuff, right? And so God is teaching me this whole mood thing and dealing with people, right? I mean, these people get in the car and their mood, you're not careful, their moods can rub off on you. I had a company, I'm rolling, the music is going real good, I'm listening to my favorite artists, they sing, I'm just feeling good about life, and then all of a sudden the guy gets in the car, and as soon as he gets in the car, I just get weak. He took all the energy out of me. And I'm real good with the whole navigation thing, right? I navigate well, that's why I like to drive it, because I can handle the navigation system, right? But for some reason, when this guy got in the car, I missed my turn 3 times. What is going on? The first time I missed it, I shouldn't have said that, and I said something anyway. I said, dang, I missed my turn. He probably wouldn't have noticed, but I said something anyway. I said, I think I was supposed to get off right there. Whatever the navigation says. And right away, his mood started to rub off on me, and I missed the turn 2 other times. The guy said, just stop the car and let me get out right now. Now, dig this. This is why we have to be careful, right? This is why we have to be careful. Because that guy's mood and what happened in the car that moment stayed with me for about 3 or 4 hours. And I started asking God, why? Why did I allow this to stay with me for 3 or 4 hours as other people getting in the car, and now his mood done rubbed off on me, and now that mood is rubbing off on other people, and I can't even give the other people that get in my car the driving experience that I like to do. You see how this thing works, right? We have to be in control of our moods. I allowed his mood to rub off on me. I can't blame him. I have to accept responsibility. I did that, right? And so the Bible talks about times and seasons, and I usually use this verse for funerals, but I thought it would be good for this because there's something I want to capture in these verses. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3, it says this, verse 1, there is a time for everything. That's what it says. There's a time for everything, and everything on earth has its special season. There's a time for everything. Everything has its special season. Verse 2, there is a time to be born and a time to die. There's a time to be born, there's a time to die. Would you all agree with that?
Yes.
There is a time to plant and a time to pull up plants. There is a time to kill. The Bible says it. There's a time to kill. It's in the Bible. The Bible says there's a time to kill and there's a time to heal. The Bible even says there's a time to destroy and a time to build. There's a time to cry and a time to laugh. There's a time to be sad and a time to dance. There's a time to throw away stones and a time to gather them. There's a time to hug and a time not to hug. There's a time to look for something and a time to stop looking for it. Eventually, you need to stop looking for it. You wasted a whole lot of time looking for it. Maybe it's something that maybe you don't need to find it. The Bible says there's a time to look for things, but then there's a time to stop looking. There's a time to keep things, and then there's a time to throw things away. There's a time to tear apart and a time to sew together. There's a time to be silent and a time to speak. There's a time to love, and yes, there is a time to hate. There is a time for war and a time for peace. The writer Solomon reminds us that there is a time and a place for everything. The problem is when we're doing the wrong thing at the right time or the right thing at the wrong time. See, the challenge for us is it's not an issue as to whether or not we should cry. It's not an issue as to whether or not we should be sad. It's not an issue as to whether or not we should be mad. But the problem is when we are mad when we shouldn't be. The problem is when we're sad when we shouldn't be. The problem is when our emotions get the best of us and make us start doing things that we should not be doing. He says there's a time and a place for everything under the earth. But what we need to do is we need to align ourselves with God so that we can make sure that we're doing the right things at the right time. Are you guys with me?
Yes.
Laughing when you should be crying is not a good thing. It makes you look weird. It makes people not want to be around you. Crying when you should be laughing is not good. People don't want to be around people who are negative all the time. That, you go into an environment and the environment is good until you walk in. It's not good. There's a time and a place for everything. There's nothing wrong with being angry, but you shouldn't be angry when you should be angry. Yeah. There's a thing called righteous anger. The Bible commands us to be angry. But don't be angry when God is doing great things. Don't be angry when God is blessing somebody else's life. That's not the right time to be angry. That's anger motivated by jealousy. There's a time and a place for everything. And you don't want to be laughing when you should be crying. Mood swings, just all over the place. What is it that's swinging our moods? What are the mood swing triggers? Today is just an overview. Some of these things that I'm going to talk about, we're going to go into details. But I just want to share a couple of mood swing triggers with you guys. It's not on the screen, but these are things that I've discovered, right? Because again, I'm telling you that these are things that I live. These are things that I'm learning as the day is going on. What is it that triggers my moods? What is it that makes me angry when all of a sudden angry when I've been having a good day? What is it that triggers my mood? One that we don't want to deal with, but I'm telling you, this is it. I know this from experience, and I'm hoping to have somebody to come and speak in detail about this. But one in particular is diet and exercise. Diet and exercise affects our mood. I'm telling you what I know. I can be angry, I can be frustrated, it doesn't matter how I'm feeling. But if I jump on that treadmill, during the course of me running on that treadmill, something happens to my attitude. If I just sit at home, in the bed or in my chair, and dwell on whatever it is and why I have a bad attitude, it's not going to get better. Some of the foods that we eat, right? Some of the foods that we eat is just not good for us. The foods alter our moods. We become slaves of our tongues. Whatever it is that our tongue is craving, we eat it regardless of what it is doing to our bodies. Over the last 3 months, I've changed my eating habits. I'm not an expert. I'm nowhere near where I want to be. But I've changed my eating habits, and me changing my eating habits has changed my attitude. I personally no longer eat meat other than fish. I eat a lot of vegetables. I eat a lot of fruit. And I'm telling you, it changed my mood. It changes your attitude. I don't feel as heavy. I feel more confident. These are things that happen, and it has nothing to do with weight, right? I mean, there are skinny people who eat bad. But I'm telling you, the things that we put into our bodies affect our attitude. It affects our moods. And so if we tell our bodies, even though we're craving this, we're going to put into our bodies what it is that we need, then it will affect. Now we have control over our moods instead of the food controlling our moods. Diet and exercise will absolutely affect your moods. Another one that's very common, and this is one that we fall back on the most, is people. People will affect your moods. People will throw you off. But it's not the people, it's us allowing the people to throw us off. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Personal responsibility. Another one that we want to stay away from this because everybody wants to hear all the good stuff, so on and so forth. We just want to be able to do what we want to do because we're grown. But here's another one, sin. Sin alters our moods. When you're doing something that you know you ain't supposed to do, God has already revealed to you that you shouldn't be doing it, I'm telling you, it will affect your mood. The Bible teaches that sin is pleasurable for a season, right? We're going after the immediate gratification. It feels good right now, but there's some consequences. It sticks with us. And it begins to affect our moods and how we relate to other people. Sin will do it.
That's right.
Here's another one. Being unorganized. You don't hear stuff like that in church, right? But that's the truth. If you are unorganized, it will affect your mood. You need to be organized. You need to have a place for everything. There is a place for everything. If there's no place for everything, you need to throw it away. I mean, I'm telling you, I see people and they got a lot of stuff going on, very active life, but they frustrated. And all I got to do is look at their car. Look at that car. If the car is junky, that's a sign that the life is junky. Look at the car. Look at the room. I'm telling you, you look at the car, you look at the room. If you're dating, guys, if you're looking for a happy woman that's well put together, don't just look at the body. Look at that car. Look at that closet. Look at that room. I'm telling you, if the room is messed up, if the car is messed up, the mind is messed up. You need to get organized. I hope I'm not picking on something. I told you I live this stuff. I live this stuff. I know what it's like to be unorganized, and I know what it causes. It makes you frustrated, but you're not connecting the two. You think you can just keep on moving forward, being unorganized, and eventually everything will fall in place. Heck no. You got to get some stuff organized. Being unorganized will alter your mood. And this kind of goes with this, when your life is a mess, there's no rhyme to your reason. You just kind of moving, but not with purpose. You just, whatever way the wind blows you, your life is just a mess. You're not paying your bills. You rather get your nails done than pay for your insurance, that type of thing. You know, your life is a mess. When your life is a mess, it will alter your moods, right? You think I can, just the next party. I just need to get to the next party. If I get to the next party, it's going to make me feel better. I just need to get to the next bottle, right? I just need to give me some drink, because when I get drink, I feel better. I just need to get to that weed. When I get to that weed, it makes me feel better. See, those are the things that we do to alter our mood back. These things have helped us to learn how to cope with life, because life is hard. Life is hard, and when we start to experience the pain of an unorganized life, we start to experience the pain of not eating right, we look to other things to help us to cope with life. And many people, when they're trying to cope with life, I watch this with the younger people as they're growing up, right? They begin to establish their own identities, right? I told you guys, I live this stuff. And they begin to establish their own identities. And life begins to come at them, right? And the parents begin to remove their hand a little bit to allow them to experience it. Then things can begin to get hard, and some of them turn towards other things to cope with life. Because when I drink, it takes my mind off my problems and it makes me feel better. When I get high, it puts me in chill mode, and the things that bother me don't bother me so much. And so I'm looking to these things to cope with life. And some people even turn to people and sex and things like that, right? Or overspending or whatever it is that you do to help you to feel good.
Right.
But these things right here are dangerous, because if you do these things to feel good, then you have to keep doing them to feel good, because when you're over whatever it is that you're doing, the same problems that you had before still exist.
Say that.
And many of these habits are very, very expensive. And then letting the wrong things into your heart will alter your moods. That's why we have to guard our hearts, right? I mean, if there's anything that I'm really concerned with my daughter about, is her hooking up with the wrong dude, because sometimes, these relationships can mess you up so much, right? They can mess you up so much. And some people spend 15, 20 years recovering from the damage of a bad relationship because you opened up your heart to somebody and they just dogged you out. And so exposing your heart to the wrong things can cause mood swings. If you're taking notes, I want you to write this down. I encourage you guys to take notes. I put stuff on the screen, but I want you guys to start taking notes. If you're taking notes, write this down. When I go against doing the right thing, to act upon my feelings, there are consequences. It's important. It seems real simple. But you got to get this. When I go against doing the right thing, to act upon my feelings, there are consequences. In other words, there are times when doing the right thing doesn't match up with how you feel. And so you have a choice. Do you go with how you feel, or do you do the right thing? Most people go with how they feel. See, I'm a relevant preacher, right? I know what's going on in our community. I know what's going on in the hood. I'm telling you, I know what's going on. I've lived this stuff, right? I've been there, I've done that. And so I understand the struggle. I understand the struggle of knowing the right thing to do, but feeling like doing something else. When the hormones are raging, hormones alter the moods too, right? When the hormones are raging, it starts to affect the feelings. God says do this, but I really feel like doing that. When we choose to do that instead of this, we will experience consequences. There's a Bible story that illustrates this. Many of you have heard this story before. In Genesis chapter 4, it's the story of Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel was the second generation of God's creation. Remember, Adam and Eve was first. They had children. Cain and Abel came. They were their children. And so Cain and Abel, they inherited some things from their parents. They have their own relationship with God. Children, eventually, you need to have your own relationship with God. You can't do it based on your parents' relationship. And so in Genesis chapter 4, starting at verse 6, it picks up on Cain and Abel's, or specifically Cain's relationship with God. Then the Lord said in verse 6 to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why are you downcast?" In other words, why do you have your lips stuck out? This is God talking to Cain, and he's asking Cain, he's saying, why are you angry? Why do you have your lips stuck out? And this is what we need to do sometimes. Sometimes we just need to ask ourselves the question, why am I mad?
Oh, God.
Why am I walking around with my jaws tight? God asks him, he says, why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? He says, if you do what is right, there it is. Look, he says, if you do what is right, not how you feel. If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? Consequences. They don't have to be bad, they can be good. But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at the door. Who don't miss this? You got to get this one right here. Forget all the other stuff I said. You got to get this one right here. Sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it. Sin is crouching at the door. Look, he's giving sin a personality. He's giving us a picture, a mental picture of sin.
Come on.
You see that? Like we've looked at, we think about sin. What does it look like? It's like, in my mind, I'm trying. But he's giving us a picture of what sin looks like. It's crouching at the door, at your door. Right outside the door, sin is right there. And it desires to consume you. It desires to ruin you. It desires to mess your life up. He says, but you must rule over it. Why would God tell him that he must rule over it if he couldn't rule over it? If God told him that he must rule over it, that means that he can rule over it. He has a choice. He does not have to listen to his angry feelings. He does not have to give in to the way that he feels. But what does Cain do? In verse 8, it says, now Cain said to his brother Abel, this is his brother, his own brother's flesh and blood, let's go out to the field. Sin is talking. The mood is talking. The emotions is talking. He's giving in. Once we give in to our feelings, we start to plot, right? We're going down that direction. He's going down that direction. He says, let's go out to the field. While they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother, and he killed him. When we choose to listen to our mood and our feelings over doing what's right, there are consequences. He killed his own brother. He killed his brother. That's not it. You think you do away with the person, that's the end of the problem. But that's not the end of the problem. Cain had a problem that caused him to kill his brother. It doesn't go away just because he kills his brother. The problem is still there. Look at the consequences. In verses 13 through 14. Cain said to the Lord, my punishment is more than I can bear. This is after the consequences. The Lord had already pronounced judgment, told him what's going to happen, and all that as a result of him disobeying God, listening to his feelings instead of doing what was right. He says, my punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. That's scary to be hidden from the presence of God. But this is in his mind, right? This is in his mind. He says, I'll be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me. Look what happened. Because he chose to do the wrong thing, listening to his feelings, now he is a paranoid schizophrenic. I had a kid on my basketball team. I seen this exact thing happen. Totally normal kid. Totally normal. One of the most athletic kids I ever coached. He starts smoking weed. And I'm telling you, that stuff affects the brain cells. And eventually this dude got so far gone that when I went to visit him, he's peeking around the corner as I'm coming. He's peeking around the corner as I'm leaving. Because he chose to go with how he feels as opposed to doing the right thing. Here's something else I want you to write down. When I go against how I feel to do the right thing, it's rewarding. When I go against how I feel to do the right thing, it's rewarding. When you see people who are successful, even people outside of the church, they don't live their life based on how they feel. They live their life based on doing the right thing. And so if you want to be successful at anything, you have to do the right thing even when you don't feel like it. There are going to be times when you don't feel like eating greens. There are going to be times when you don't feel like exercising. But it does not matter. You got to do it anyway because that's what makes your body better. There are going to be times when you don't feel like forgiving, but you got to do it anyway because that's what's going to give you peace. You got to do the right thing whether you feel like it or not. And when you do it, eventually there's a reward. I'm telling you, there are times when I start off, Brother Bogan, and I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. But I have things that I need to accomplish, and there's a part of me that just want to retreat and turn back home and just say, forget the day. Just forget the day. I'm going to go back home and I'm just going to chill. But I noticed this. Look, I noticed this. When I'm determined to do the right thing regardless, and I continue to press on, God has shown me that this thing can get better. It can get better, right? Because look, a bad moment does not have to be a bad day.
Right, amen.
But that's what the moon will communicate to you. Because you're having a bad moment, this is a bad day. What do you mean it's a bad day? It's 10 o'clock in the morning. How can you declare already that this is a bad day? You press on, this thing can get better. And then a bad day, if you're not careful, a bad day will have you thinking that you got a bad life. It's not a bad life. You're just having a bad day. You're entitled to have a bad day. But don't believe your mood. Don't be tricked by your mood into believing that you're having a bad life. It's not a bad life. It's just a bad day. And so what we got to learn how to do, this is the application. This is the application, and I'm almost done. We got to learn how to swing this thing back. I told you I was going to use this. I wasn't sure if I was going to use it or not, but I was going to use it. We got to learn how to swing this thing back. When you're angry for no reason, you got to swing that thing back. People are not good at swinging it back. We just react and we just let life happen to us instead of making life happen. You got to learn how to make life happen.
Come on, man.
I refuse to allow you to alter my mood. I'm not giving you permission. I'm not giving you that key. It's not the outside circumstances. See, we want to blame our mood on other people. It's easy. That's the easy way out, right? I can blame my mood on my wife, then that lets me off the hook. See, it's her fault. If I can get a better wife, it'll put me in a better mood. No. The mood is that's stuff internal, that's stuff inside. If you don't deal with the stuff inside, it's going to go with you wherever you go.
Amen.
See, here's the thing about, here's the common denominator in why you have your mood swings at home and why you have them at work, why you have them in your bedroom, why you have them at school. The common denominator is you. Wherever you go, you're going to find you. And so what you got to learn how to do is you got to learn how to take something and swing that thing back. When you get angry, swing it back. Don't blame it. Don't blame other people for it. You got to own it. That's the title of today's message series. You got to own it. How do you own it? There's a couple of ways. You got to look at this from different perspectives. Here's how you own it. Number one, you got to acknowledge it. Stop lying and saying you don't have a mood, you don't have mood swings. You're not happy all the time. You're not like the perfect person to be around. You got your issues too. So you have to acknowledge it, and then you own it by taking responsibility for it, right? You take responsibility for it because you're not blaming it on other people. You're not blaming it on other circumstances and the environment or any of that, right? to talk about that next week. It doesn't matter what environment you're in, you can still have a good attitude. Regardless of your environment. And then you own it by telling it what to do instead of it telling you what to do. That's important. Your mood does not dictate your life unless you allow your mood to dictate your life. And so when you're angry, you swing that thing back. Here's how David did it. David swung it back. When David got angry or when David was in the dumps, he learned how to swing it back. In Psalm 42, verse 11. David, this is David, he often had mood swings, right? When you look through the Psalms, sometimes you'll see David and he was extremely sad, and then sometimes you see David and he was praising. In this particular verse, we get a chance to see both. In verse 11, it says, "Why, my soul, are you downcast?" Who is David talking to? He's not talking to the people around him. He's not asking, why do you keep ticking me off? He's talking to himself. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. He says, why are you in the dumps, soul? Why are you so down? Why are you letting this thing bother you so much? That's what I had to ask myself when that guy got out of my car. And I'm thinking about this thing for 3 hours. What in the heck am I doing thinking about this for 3 hours? He says, why are you mad? What is the real reason why you are mad? Stop blaming other people. He says, he talks to his soul. He says, why are you downcast? And then he says, look, why so disturbed where? Within me. Where's it at? It's not outside. It's not the environment. It's not the people around you. You got to get this stuff right on the inside. It's really about soul. It's really about what's going on the inside. He says, why are you so disturbed within me? Now watch how David swings this thing back. What does he say? He says, put your hope in God. See? I'm telling you, that the reason why we're so disturbed is because we're hoping in things other than God. If you ever get to the point where you can figure this thing out on your own, you're in trouble. You cannot figure it out on your own. You have to put your hope in God. Look, David swung that thing back. He said, why are you angry? Why are you downcast? Why is your lips sticking out? Why are you so sad? Your life ain't that bad. Stop believing your emotions. Stop believing your mood. Your life is really not that bad. He says, why are you so disturbed? Put your hope in God. He says, for I will yet praise him, my Savior and my God. Can you praise God when you're disturbed? If you can't, you'll never be able to swing that thing back. You want to learn how to swing that thing back? Remind yourself about the goodness of God, and you'll see that your life really is not that bad. I'm telling you, it's not as bad as you think it is. You wake up on the wrong side of the bed and everybody's getting on your nerves. You need to pull over and you need to remind yourself of the goodness of God. Swing that thing back. If you don't swing that thing back, it's going to carry you throughout the day, and you're going to be so uneventful, unapproachable that nobody's going to want to be around you. That business deal that you're trying to close is going to run from you. That job that you're trying to get is going to run from you. That mate that you're trying to get, he's going to run from you. She's going to run from you because nobody wants to be around a moody person. You need to learn how to swing that thing back. When you learn how to swing that thing back, you're going to be like a magnet. You're going to start attracting those things that you need in your life for you to be successful. But as long as you keep reacting, allowing that thing to carry you throughout the day, the things that you need to be successful are going to run from you. Learn how to swing it back. You got to own it. You have to acknowledge that you have mood swings. You have to own it. You cannot blame nobody else for your mood swings. You have to own it. To tell your mood what to do instead of your mood telling you what to do. I'm done with this thing. I'm done with this. Pastor, small church. I've been to those environments. And I just want that. Those are the environments that I wanted to be in. So I figure if I want to be in those environments, more than likely other people want to be in those environments. Healthy things grow. You got to deal with the unhealthy emotions that you have if you want to grow. Once you learn how to deal with the unhealthy emotions that you have and you're growing, the church is going to grow. It's just how things operate. It's how things function. It's the way of life. It's the way that God has established. And then one other thing.